During World War II, the Nazi war machine reached levels of innovation that seemed pulled straight from the pages of a science fiction novel. From rumors of flying saucers soaring across European skies to ballistic missiles crossing continents and jet fighters capable of evading radar detection, the Third Reich pushed the boundaries of what was possible, venturing into realms where logic and caution seemed to have been left behind. Obsessed with winning the war and consolidating global dominance, the Nazis allocated enormous resources to projects that, in some cases, altered the course of history, and in others, though unsuccessful, still spark wonder and curiosity today. From nuclear energy that nearly brought them to creating the atomic bomb to colossal machines like the Mouse tank and the V3 supergun, we'll explore how these superweapons, some real and others still shrouded in mystery, represent the darkest and most astonishing secrets of Nazi technology. Welcome to Wartime Archive. The secret operation of the Horten Ho 229, the Ghost Plane. It was December 1944, and the war was in a critical phase. The Allies were advancing relentlessly from the west, while the Red Army closed in from the east. In this context, the Third Reich, desperate for a technological advantage, turned to the Horten brothers and their project of an aircraft that seemed lifted from the pages of a futuristic novel. The Horten Ho 229, designed to fly nearly undetectable by radar. Reimar and Walter Horten had been pioneers in advanced aerodynamics since the 1930s. Their vision was to create a flying wing aircraft that defied the conventions of the time. As the war intensified, they were tasked with developing a craft capable of high-altitude, high-speed flight, evading radar while carrying a deadly payload. The Ho 229 fulfilled this vision. Without a fuselage or vertical stabilizer, its design reduced radar signatures and enhanced aerodynamics. Powered by two Jumo 004B engines, the same used in the Me-262, the Ho 229 could reach speeds of 977 kilometers per hour, far exceeding any Allied fighter. But what truly set this aircraft apart was its special coating, a mixture of charcoal and other materials that absorbed radar waves. This technology anticipated modern stealth aircraft by decades, reflecting the Nazis' obsession with achieving invisibility in the skies. Luftwaffe veteran pilot Ernst Bubi Udet was chosen for the maiden flight. After takeoff, the Ho 229 demonstrated unprecedented maneuverability, climbing rapidly and exceeding expectations. However, a failure in one of the engines forced an emergency landing. While the test revealed the plane's potential, time was against them. Resources were dwindling, and the Allies were advancing. By 1945, as Allied forces closed in on Berlin, the project was abandoned. The Horten Ho 229 never saw combat, but its pioneering design influenced the development of modern stealth aircraft. Today, it is regarded as one of the most visionary advancements of Nazi science, an audacious attempt that, while unsuccessful, left a lasting technological legacy. Testing new technologies, the Battle of the River Plate. On December 17, 1939, shortly after the outbreak of the war, an explosion shook the shores of the River Plate. From Buenos Aires and Montevideo, a column of smoke was visible. The German pocket battleship Admiral Graf Spee had been scuttled by its captain, Hans Langsdorff, to prevent the Allies from capturing its advanced technology. 3 days later, in Buenos Aires, Langsdorff took his own life, wrapped in the German flag, leaving behind a story of honor and sacrifice. Assigned to the Graf Spee in 1936, Langsdorff was a respected officer, deeply committed to Germany, and guided by a strict code of honor. The Graf Spee, a masterpiece of naval engineering, was powered by diesel engines delivering 54,000 horsepower, enabling it to reach speeds of 30 knots while carrying a Heinkel He-60 reconnaissance seaplane. Additionally, it was equipped with radar, a revolutionary technology at the time, that gave it a significant advantage in detection. At the onset of the war, Langsdorff was tasked with targeting British merchant ships in the Atlantic, always ensuring the safety of their crews. However, On December 13, 1939, the Graf Spee engaged 3 British cruisers off Montevideo. Although the German battleship inflicted severe damage on the Exeter, it sustained critical hits that compromised its fuel system. Langsdorff decided to retreat to Montevideo, but upon being granted only 48 hours of port stay, he chose to scuttle the ship to save his crew. Langsdorff, remembered for his honor and ethics, embodied the complexity of war, where cutting-edge technology and personal sacrifice intertwined in a tale of bravery and tragedy. Terror beneath the waves, German submarine warfare. The Graf Spee was just one of Germany's many naval innovations, but none inspired as much fear as the U-boats. Although submarines were not a new invention, during World War II they became deadly weapons, sinking 221 enemy ships in just 4 months. With over 1,200 U-boats built, Germany took the war to every ocean, challenging Allied dominance. Behind this formidable fleet was Grand Admiral Karl Dönitz, who pioneered the Wolfpack tactic, coordinating multiple U-boats to attack a single target. His precision and strategy struck panic into Allied convoys in the Atlantic, transforming the oceans into battlegrounds. U-boats were equipped with advanced technology, passive sensors, high-quality steel, and improved diving systems. Armed with G7E electric torpedoes, which left no trail, they could attack in daylight without being detected. However, as the war progressed, the Allies developed countermeasures, including hunter-killer groups of fast escorts and aircraft carriers to track and destroy U-boats. The Kriegsmarine also introduced Biber midget submarines to attack enemy coastal targets. However, their rushed design and insufficient crew training rendered them largely ineffective. By 1945, Germany's submarine fleet had been severely diminished by the Allies' numerical and technological superiority, marking the end of the Atlantic wolves. Thunder on the rails, Germany's railway guns. During World War II, Germany developed a series of large-scale technological innovations that pushed the boundaries of engineering. Among them, few projects were as impressive as the colossal railway guns. While such weapons were not entirely new to modern warfare, Germany's railway guns, most notably the fearsome Schwerer Gustav, took artillery to unprecedented levels. However, their limitations meant they could only be deployed in areas with specially constructed railways, restricting their mobility and battlefield utility. This was one of the reasons so few railway guns were ever manufactured by Germany. The Schwerer Gustav remains the largest artillery piece ever used in combat. Nearly 50 meters long, 7 meters wide, and with a 32.5-meter barrel, this behemoth could fire 80-centimeter diameter shells weighing over 7 tons. These massive projectiles could hit targets up to 47 kilometers away. Operating the Gustav was a logistical marvel. It required 250 personnel and 3 days of assembly, with 2 flak anti-aircraft artillery battalions deployed to protect it from enemy air attacks. The story of the Schwerer Gustav began in 1934, when the German Army High Command requested that the Krupp Company design a gun capable of destroying the French Maginot Line. This system of fortifications, considered impenetrable, consisted of bunkers and trenches reinforced with up to 7 meters of concrete. To meet these requirements, the gun had to fire shells heavy enough to penetrate reinforced concrete and steel plates from a safe distance. Due to its enormous size and weight, the Gustav could not operate on standard railway tracks. It required specially built dual tracks to support its immense weight. Construction of the Schwerer Gustav did not begin until 1937, after Hitler personally approved the project. Even so, technical challenges in producing such massive steel components caused significant delays. By the time the gun was completed in 1941, France had already fallen to German forces, rendering its deployment on the Western Front unnecessary. However, Gustav found a new purpose on the Eastern Front. In March 1942, it was transported to Crimea, mounted on a 25-car train that stretched an incredible 1.6 kilometers in length. The Schwerer Gustav made its combat debut during the siege of Sevastopol in June 1942. the fortified city on the Crimean Peninsula fiercely resisted the German advance, prompting Nazi strategists to deploy the Gustav to clear the way for their troops. Over the course of the siege, the Gustav fired 47 rounds, obliterating defensive positions and Soviet resistance bunkers. However, the cost was steep. The gun's intensive use caused rapid wear to its barrel, forcing engineers to replace it with a spare, while the original was sent back to Krupp for refurbishment. After the siege of Sevastopol, the Schwerer Gustav was dismantled and transported north, where it was intended to be used in the siege of Leningrad. However, before it could fire a single round, the attack was called off, and the gun was abandoned near the city during the harsh winter of 1942-43. On April 14, 1945, just one day before American troops reached the area, the Gustav was destroyed by the German army to prevent it from falling into Allied hands. Thus ended the story of one of the most monumental and costly weapons ever constructed. Instant death in the hands of all, the world's first assault rifle. Instant death in the hands of all, the world's first assault rifle. During World War II, German engineers developed a wide array of weaponry, from colossal guns and missiles to small portable arms. However, one of the most significant and enduring creations in infantry warfare was the Sturmgewehr 44, or STG-44, considered the world's first assault rifle. This revolutionary weapon combined the functionality of a rifle with the rapid-fire capability of a machine gun, all while being relatively lightweight and portable. Its design made the STG-44 an effective and versatile weapon, marking a milestone in the history of military technology. The invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941 exposed the Wehrmacht to a wide range of automatic weapons wielded by the Red Army. The Soviets increasingly relied on semi-automatic Tokarev SVT-38 and SVT-40 rifles, as well as PPS-41 submachine guns, which delivered rapid-fire capability. These weapons posed a significant threat to German troops, especially since the Soviets had an impressive ammunition production capacity. Germany, in turn, sought to match this advantage by establishing factories in occupied territories such as Austria, Czechoslovakia, Poland, and France, aiming to equip their soldiers with an infantry weapon that offered both power and speed. Early German attempts to develop semi-automatic rifles, such as the Gewehr 41, proved unsatisfactory. These weapons encountered operational problems on the front lines, and production fell short of the high demand. Moreover, attempts to introduce light machine guns and automatic rifles failed due to difficulties in controlling the recoil of powerful Mauser rifles in automatic mode. To overcome these issues, German engineers redesigned the cartridge and feeding mechanism, enabling the STG-44 to reduce recoil and improve control during automatic fire. This innovation allowed German soldiers to deliver effective automatic fire within actual combat ranges, a decisive advancement in light infantry weapons. The STG-44 was the result of careful consideration of battlefield needs. Its combination of firing speed, accuracy, and ease of use made it an ideal weapon for close and mid-range engagements, particularly in urban combat and trench warfare, where quick response times were crucial. Its compact design, paired with its powerful intermediate cartridge, made it a highly effective tool for Wehrmacht soldiers. The influence of the STG-44 was not only critical during the war, but also laid the groundwork for the development of modern assault rifles worldwide. German weapon innovation extended beyond the STG-44. During the Eastern Front campaign, the freezing winter of 1941 presented additional challenges for German soldiers' weapons. Flamethrowers, crucial for clearing fortified positions and enemy trenches, underperformed in extreme cold. The hydrogen ignition system of the initial Flammenwerfer 35 often failed in low temperatures. This limitation prompted German engineers to develop a more reliable and effective flamethrower, the Flammenwerfer 41. The Flammenwerfer 41 was an improved version of its predecessor, featuring a lighter design and a more robust ignition system suitable for cold climates. Weighing approximately 18 kilograms, it was easier to transport on the battlefield. Its mechanism utilized a mixture of tar and gasoline known as Flammel 19, which was expelled through a handheld torch connected to a backpack tank. Each tank contained up to 11.8 liters of fuel, providing an effective range of 32 meters, 105 feet. Over 64,000 units of the Flammenwerfer 41 were produced during the war, and its effectiveness in close quarters combat made it a crucial tool for German soldiers. The creation of weapons like the G44 and Flammenwerfer 41 reflects Germany's capacity for innovation and adaptation to wartime demands. While these weapons were not enough to change the war's outcome, the design and functionality of the G44 influenced future assault rifle developments, such as the Soviet AK-47, which adopted similar principles. These innovations, driven by the extreme circumstances of war, laid the foundation for a new era in small arms design, solidifying the G44 as the world's first assault rifle and leaving a legacy that endures to this day. Futuristic experiments that failed. Not all Nazi inventions managed to shine on the battlefield. During World War II, the Third Reich's propaganda promoted the concept of Wunderwaffen, or wonder weapons, to bolster public morale and project the image of a technologically unbeatable Germany. However, many of these super weapons never advanced beyond the prototype stage, or, if deployed, were produced in such limited numbers that they had no real impact on the war's outcome. Below, we explore some of the most ambitious and failed projects that, despite seeming like something out of a futuristic tale, ended up as a waste of resources and effort. The Panzerkampfwagen Maus, the immovable giant. The Panzerkampfwagen 8 Maus, designed by Ferdinand Porsche, was the result of Hitler's desire to create an indestructible super-heavy tank capable of dominating any battlefield. First proposed in 1942, the Maus represented the pinnacle of tank engineering under the Third Reich. Weighing 188 tons, it was nearly 3 times heavier than the Tiger tank. However, few in the German High Command shared Hitler's vision of this colossal machine's usefulness. Testing began in 1943, but the Maus faced constant mechanical issues, particularly with its transmission system. Its tracks were powered by electric motors, but the tank could barely reach a maximum speed of 19 kilometers per hour, 12 miles per hour. Armed with a 12.8 centimeters main gun and frontal armor up to 240 millimeters thick, the Maus was theoretically impenetrable. However, its sluggish speed and poor maneuverability made it an easy target on a modern battlefield. Although plans called for the production of 150 units, only 2 prototypes were completed, and neither saw combat. Despite its imposing presence, the Maus symbolizes the overreach and impracticality of some Nazi armament projects. The V3, the silent supergun. The V3, the third of the so-called vengeance weapons, was a massive cannon designed to bombard London from a distance of over 160 kilometers, 100 miles. The project was based on a multi-chamber principle, where secondary charges were fired along the main barrel to increase the projectile's velocity. The plan was to construct an underground complex in Mimoyex, northern France, where 25 cannon barrels would be buried in inclined tunnels and protected by a thick concrete slab. The V3 was intended to launch projectiles at a rate of up to 600 rounds per hour, continuously striking London and causing widespread devastation. However, the Allies discovered the site and, believing it was part of the V2 rocket program, launched a series of bombings on Mimoyex in 1943. Finally, an air raid on July 6, 1944, destroyed the complex, and the V3 never fired a single shot at London. This supergun became yet another of Germany's many failed investments in its pursuit of long-range weaponry. The Goliath, the mini-explosive vehicle. Another attempt to innovate on the battlefield was the Goliath, a small, tracked, remote-controlled vehicle designed to deliver explosive payloads to enemy positions. Known as the Explosive Beetle, the Goliath came in 2 versions, one powered by batteries, carrying 60 kilograms of explosives, and another with a gasoline engine, capable of transporting a 100-kilogram charge up to a distance of 650 meters. Its primary targets were bunkers, defensive positions, and enemy vehicles, and it was occasionally used for clearing minefields. While ingenious in design, the Goliath proved impractical in combat. It was slow, vulnerable to enemy fire, and its control cables were easily severed, leaving the vehicle immobilized on the battlefield. Additionally, its low ground clearance made it prone to getting stuck on uneven terrain. Despite producing approximately 2,650 units between 1942 and 1944, the Goliath failed to meet expectations and became yet another waste of resources. The Germans also experimented with larger radio-controlled versions, but none made a significant impact on the battlefield. The Messerschmitt Me-163 Komet, a rocket in the sky. The Messerschmitt Me-163 Komet was the first and only rocket-powered fighter of World War II. Specifically designed to intercept high-altitude American bombers, the Komet was a one-of-a-kind machine. This small aircraft used a liquid propellant made up of two extremely volatile substances that, when combined, generated explosive thrust. The Komet could reach an altitude of 12,000 meters, 39,000 feet, in just 3 minutes and 45 seconds, with a maximum speed exceeding 880 kilometers per hour, 550 miles per hour. Despite its speed and rapid climb capabilities, the Komet faced significant challenges. Its extreme velocity made it difficult for pilots to intercept Allied bombers, which flew at considerably slower speeds. Additionally, the rocket engine had a burn time of only 7 minutes, after which the pilot had to glide back to base, leaving them vulnerable to enemy fighters. Accidents were also common due to the fuel's instability, with many pilots losing their lives in accidental explosions. Despite its innovative design, the Me-163 Komet became yet another failed experiment in Germany's wartime arsenal. The first steps towards nuclear energy. One of the key scientists in nuclear research was German chemist Otto Hahn, a pioneer in the fields of radioactivity and radiochemistry. Working alongside his assistant Lise Meitner and chemist Fritz Strassmann, Hahn discovered nuclear fission in 1938. In their Berlin laboratory, Hahn and Meitner successfully split the uranium atom's nucleus, a groundbreaking discovery that paved the way for nuclear reactors and, as Nazi leaders quickly realized, nuclear weapons. Despite the collaborative nature of their work, only Hahn was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1944, overshadowing Meitner's crucial contributions to the discovery. Nuclear fission was not just a theoretical breakthrough, it carried military potential of unimaginable proportions. Hahn suggested that uranium would be the ideal material for building both reactors and nuclear bombs. This relatively rare mineral was available in the mines of Czechoslovakia, a territory occupied by Germany. In response, Hitler ordered Germany's leading scientists, including Werner Heisenberg, Hans Geiger, and other prominent physicists, to focus on developing nuclear technology with the ultimate goal of creating a superweapon capable of altering the war's outcome. The advancements in Germany's nuclear research alarmed the United States, which feared that the Third Reich was on the verge of developing an atomic bomb. In response, the US launched Operation Paperclip, a mission to identify, capture, and bring some of Germany's top scientists to America. These scientists were tasked with working on projects like the Manhattan Project under the supervision of Robert Oppenheimer. Extreme measures were also considered. In 1943, an American agent was sent to a lecture by Werner Heisenberg in Zurich. The agent's mission was to carefully analyze the talk, and if any indication suggested that the Germans were close to creating a nuclear bomb, he was authorized to assassinate Heisenberg. Ultimately, the agent did not act, as the lecture revealed no alarming progress. Although German scientists were making strides in their research, the Nazi nuclear program never achieved artificial criticality, a crucial step in building a functional reactor or a nuclear bomb. Hitler's flying saucers, myths and reality. Among the many rumors and theories surrounding the secret technologies of the Third Reich, one of the most enduring and enigmatic is that of the so-called Nazi flying saucers. According to these theories, Germany, desperate to win the war, may have attempted to develop futuristic aircraft with capabilities that defied the scientific understanding of the time. These projects, shrouded in mystery, have captured the public imagination and spawned countless myths, conspiracy theories, and historical fascination about the possible existence of disc-shaped aircraft. The Horten Ho project is one of the most frequently mentioned names linked to these supposed aircraft. According to accounts and documents lacking verified authenticity, Horten Ho allegedly referred to a series of circular aircraft prototypes developed by the SS under the leadership of Heinrich Himmler. These designs supposedly relied on advanced anti-gravity propulsion technology, a revolutionary concept that, if true, would have allowed the creation of vehicles capable of maneuvers unattainable by any conventional aircraft. However, no conclusive evidence has been found to confirm that the Nazis ever built or even tested such a craft. The theories about Nazi flying saucers are also tied to Victor Schauberger, an Austrian engineer and scientist specializing in fluid dynamics and vortex movement. Schauberger believed in the potential to build engines based on the implosion of fluids rather than explosion, a principle that, according to some accounts, might have inspired initial developments of levitation or advanced propulsion technologies. While Schauberger did work on some projects for the Third Reich, there is no evidence he constructed anything resembling a flying saucer. Most of his designs remained in the research phase and were not integrated into Germany's military efforts. In this context, the mysterious Die Glock, or the bell, is often mentioned. This device, described in some accounts as more of an experimental machine than an aircraft, has been portrayed as a generator of anti-gravity or even a time machine. According to the theories, the bell allegedly produced magnetic fields so powerful that it could levitate, spin, and defy conventional physical laws. However, evidence of this project is practically non-existent. Most references stem from post-war accounts and unverifiable speculation. While these alleged projects are undoubtedly fascinating, there is no verified documentation or photographic evidence to support the existence of flying saucers or anti-gravity devices constructed by the Nazis. The few documents that mention advanced developments like Horten Ho or the Bell have been repeatedly questioned by historians and experts who suggest that much of this narrative emerged after the war, influenced by the growing popular fascination with UFOs and conspiracy theories.